This podcast is produced by the Fireside Chat Club of Canada.
Can you fly this plane and land it?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Hello, and welcome to Canada as I See It. Oh, that voice. You've heard the phrase, you can hear this picture. Well, I'm on the other side. I'm an audio kind of guy. And for me, I can actually see that sound. It probably doesn't hurt that I've seen that movie over 100 times. And speaking of that number, the man behind that voice would have turned 100 this year. In fact, he would have turned that on my birthday. He's one of several celebrities, actually, that I share a birthday with. There's Burt Reynolds and Jennifer Aniston. They're included on that list. Now, I used to be able to rock a mustache like Burt, but I could never quite get that perfect Rachel hairstyle. Most of us know that gentleman as the doctor from Airplane who didn't want to be known as Shirley. Or you might know him as the cop who worked with O.J. in the Naked Gun movies. But did you know that he had been acting in films for 25 years before taking his first comedic role on the doomed aircraft in 1980? Leslie William Nielsen, O.C., was born in Regina, Saskatchewan on February the 11th, 1926. His mother was from Wales, and his father was a Danish-born constable in the RCMP, which might explain his desire to become Lieutenant Frank Drebin of Police Squad later on in his career. Now, Leslie's older brother, Eric, was a member of Parliament for Yukon in Canada for the longest time. He actually served as Deputy Prime Minister for a couple of years in the 1980s. Now, Eric's middle name was Herschelt. Yeah, you won't find that in a book of baby names, I'm quite sure. But it was his and Leslie's half-uncle, Gene Herschelt, who was the namesake. He was a film actor in the 1930s who basically inspired Leslie to apply his talents to the world covered in celluloid. The movie that Gene was in was called His Brother's Wife. I'll leave a link on my site. Now, I have changed things up a bit there, but you'll still be able to find those links at warpole.ca, WHORPOLE.ca. Of course, Leslie was a radio announcer. How could you not be with a voice like that? And when he discovered his love for announcing, he enrolled in the Lorne Green Academy of Radio Arts in Toronto. And that just set the ball rolling. He moved on to Summer Stock Theatre and the Actors Studio. Yes, the one with the inimitable James Lipton. And then he went on to this new fad, television, where in 1950 he appeared for the first time on an episode of Studio One with Charlton Heston. Not a bad start, eh? Well, from that point on, name the program, name the movie, Leslie was probably in it. He did have a long-term contract with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. Yeah, I told you about them last week. And so at the very least, he had a constant paycheck. because, as he said about his TV experiences, there was little gold out there to be had. Now, those who know Leslie from his comedic roles may not have any idea of how many parts he portrayed in dramatic and romantic roles. He was handsome, talented, and he basically became the go-to guy in the 1950s and forward, appearing in more than 100 films and 1,500 television episodes, where he played more than 220 characters. Character he was, that's for sure. Now, again, here's another branch that you wouldn't have guessed. His first feature film was a musical. It was called The Vagabond King, and yeah, go figure. His second movie was one in which he starred with Anne Francis called Forbidden Planet. That was in 1956. Essentially, this was a science fiction version of Shakespeare's The Tempest. In fact, Trekkies today regard it as the forerunner of the series and movie empire Star Trek. Now, that actually may explain why Star Trek, in whatever iteration it is, seems to be always quoting the Bard. Leslie was a little more matter-of-fact about the part. He says, I just had to wear a tight uniform and make eyes at Anne Francis. Not a bad gig. Now, from there, back then, of course, you always signed contracts with the big studios, but he, once released from his contract, he moved on to a Disney production. See, my friends just knew I'd find a Disney connection for him somewhere. He starred in, and here we go, here's the musical thing again, he sang the theme song to the TV series The Swamp Fox. Again, link at the site. Now, from there, his other TV appearances just read like an encyclopedic entry on how to do everything right. Let's see, there's Alfred Hitchcock Presents, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, Wagon Train, Gunsmoke, Columbo, The Virginian, and The Wild Wild West. Finally made it to the 60s now. He was the lead in a Los Angeles police drama called The New Breed. He guest starred in a 1964 episode, best year ever, of Daniel Boone with Fess Parker. That was just a small role, but 1965, he guest starred in 19 episodes, that's a little more substantial, of Peyton Place. He actually played two roles in that, Vincent and Kenneth Markham. They were identical twins. Yeah, that's a soap opera thing. One was very different from the other. In 1968, he had a major role in the pilot for the police series Hawaii Five-0. Man, I'm going to have to go back and start checking all of these out. This is amazing. He was in the 7th season of that, actually. 1969, he had the leading role as a police officer, looking to the future there. But this was a drama, in The Bold Ones, The Protectors. 1972. Now, this one I knew, but I didn't quite make the connection after a while. 1972, Nielsen appeared as the captain of the doomed ocean liner SS Poseidon in the epic Poseidon Adventure. Oh, boy. He was cast in the 1979 Canadian disaster film City on Fire. Seemed to be moving into disaster films. He was a corrupt mayor in that one. And in 1980, he guest starred as Sinclair in the CBS TV miniseries The Chisholms. Yeah, I'm out of breath just going through all that. This brings us to 1980. Now, there is no denying that the talent was there. But I honestly think he was taken aback when the funny parts started coming his way. Not many guys restart their career at the age of 54, but he definitely embraced the part. Actually, got a little ahead of myself. Still comedy, but one of his first roles in that genre was in 1973 in a first season episode of, here's another tick on the list, MASH. The episode was called The Ring Banger. Ah, boy. Okay, now 1980. That first comedic feature film role was where the first line of this podcast came from. Airplane. Yeah, this led to the directors of Airplane essentially creating the fish in water scenario. Usually, you've heard the fish out of water, where, you struggle to make it in the world, being not at all able to deal with things. But the fish in water scenario, the directors described it as, quote, you could have cast funny people and done it with everybody winking at the camera, goofing off and being silly. But we wanted people to be oblivious to the comedy. Well, the producers of that film, they went on to create a TV series called Police Squad. Leslie was cast as the clueless Lieutenant Frank Drebin. Now, television, surprisingly, it only lasted 6 episodes, but after a retooling and repositioning, the phrases of television, the lieutenant came back in the Naked Gun movie series. First one, From the Files of Police Squad. Then there was Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear. And then Naked Gun 33 1/3, The Final Insult. Man, for 30 years, he played the clueless buffoon. And really, that's how a lot of the world got to know Leslie Nielsen. Among his many accolades, Leslie received UCLA's Jack Benny Award. He got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a star on Canada's Walk of Fame, and he was made an officer of the Order of Canada. There's a college in Edmonton, Grant MacEwan College. They named their School of Communications after him, and the Alliance of Canadian Cinema, Television, and Radio Artists, also known as ACTRA, gave him their Award of Excellence. Distinction, talent, flexibility. Such an incredible career. Leslie passed away in his sleep from pneumonia on November 28th, 2010. Always embracing his second career as a clueless joker. For example, he would always carry around his favorite comedic prop, the whoopee cushion, or I guess more blatantly, the fart box. He brought it with him on talk shows, dinner engagements, you name it. You could find all of those on YouTube. Just put in those words there. You'll find them. Now, with that in mind, though, he had actually left very specific instructions for his gravestone. He's buried in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and his gravestone reads as follows: Leslie Nielsen, February 11, 1926 to November 28, 2010. Let her rip. I'll leave a link to that picture on the website. Thanks go to dear friend Laura for the introduction to the podcast. Laura passed away last summer quite suddenly. If you'd like to be a part of this space and introduce the show like she did today, please send me a recording of you saying, "This podcast is produced by the Fireside Chat Club of Canada." And you can send that to me at warpole.ca, WHORPOLE.ca. Another way to get a shout out on the podcast is to buy me a coffee. Go to my site, warpole.ca, click on the yellow rectangle in the upper right corner and follow the instructions. Your support will help me maintain the equipment I use to record this and help me as I work to write and travel to places to bring you more. Now, I alluded to it earlier, I've made some changes to the site, but that rectangle is still there. You can't miss it. Canada, as I See It, is a production of the Fireside Chat Club of Canada. The music you heard off the top and that you're listening to right now is our theme music, Night Owls by Braden Deal. Thank you all so much for listening. Have yourselves a wonderful week.